about a little red hen and her three very unhelpful friends. She plants a seed, works very hard, and is well rewarded in this timeless Russian folktale. Now, let us enjoy The Little Red Hen by Florence Williams, lightly adapted and read by Alan Schofield. The little red hen lived in a barnyard. She spent almost all of her time walking about the barnyard in her pickety-peckety fashion, scratching everywhere for worms. One day, the little red hen found a seed. It happened to be a seed of wheat, but the little red hen was so accustomed to bugs and worms that she supposed this to be some new and perhaps very delicious kind of meat. She bit it gently, and it did not taste like a worm at all, even though it was long and slender. What could it be? Carrying it about, she asked everyone, and found that it was a wheat seed, and that, if planted, it would grow up, become ripe, and with a little care and hard work, be made into flour and then into bread. She knew at once it should be planted, and called out to her barnyard friends, "Who will help me plant this seed?" But the pig said, "Not I." And the cat said, "Not I." And the rat said, "Not I." "Well then," said the little red hen, "I will." And she did, all by herself. The long summer days passed by, and the little red hen went on with her duties, scratching for worms and feeding her chicks, while the pig grew fat, and the cat grew fat, and the rat grew fat, and by, the wheat had grown tall and was ready for harvest. The little red hen noticed how the wheat was ripe and ready for harvest, and ran about asking, "Who will cut the wheat?" The pig said, "Not I." The cat said, "Not I." And the rat said, "Not I." "Well then," said the little red hen, "I will." And she did, all by herself. She got a sickle blade from amongst the farmer's tools in the barn and proceeded to cut all of the planting of her field of wheat. On the ground lay all the golden wheat, ready to be gathered and threshed. But the little red hen's baby chicks began beep, beep, beeping, proclaiming to the world, and especially to their mother, that she was not taking care of them. The poor little red hen needed help, so again, in a very hopeful tone, she called out, "Who will help me thresh the wheat?" But the pig, with a grunt, said, "Not I." And the cat, with a meow, said, "Not I." And the rat, with a squeak, said, "Not I." So the little red hen, somewhat discouraged, said, "Well, I will then." And she did, all by herself. With her babies fed and ready to sleep for an afternoon nap, she went out and threshed the wheat. Then she called out, "Now who will help me carry the wheat to the mill to be ground?" Turning their backs with snippy glee, the pig said, "Not I." And the cat said, "Not I." And that rat said, "Not I." So again, the little red hen could do nothing but say, "I will then." And she did, all by herself. Carrying the sack of wheat, she trudged off to the distant mill and ordered the wheat ground into beautiful white flour. When the miller brought her flour, she slowly carried it to the barnyard in her own pickety-peckety fashion. When morning came the next day, the little red hen thought that the wheat should be made into bread. So after her children were fed, she looked for the pig and the cat and the rat, sure that they would finally help her today. And she asked, "Who will help me make the bread?" But the pig said, "Not I." And the cat said, "Not I." And the rat said, "Not I." So the little red hen said once more, "I will then." And she did, herself. She put on a fresh apron and a tall cook's cap, and set the bread dough, and then, when it was ready, she divided it into loaves, placed them in baking tins, and put them into the oven to bake. All the while the cat sat lazily by, giggling and chuckling. Close by she saw the little rat powdering his nose and admiring himself in a mirror. Then she heard the snoring of the sleeping pig. Soon a delicious odor came upon the autumn breeze, and all the creatures in the barnyard sniffed the air with delight. The red hen wanted to dance and sing, for she had done all the work to make the wonderful bread. When the bread was finished, lovely brown loaves came out of the oven, and they were indeed perfect. The tired little red hen looked at her hungry friends and asked, who will help me eat the bread?" "I will," barked the lazy pig. "I will," purred the sleepy cat. "I will," squeaked the vain little rat. "No, you won't," said the little red hen. "I will." And the little red hen ate and enjoyed the bread, all by herself. We have been listening to The Little Red Hen by Florence Williams.